Today's show is sponsored by IPVanish. IPVanish is an app that allows me to browse the internet safely. Listen, when I go online, I don't want to get hacked. I don't want people logging into my bank account, getting access to my financial records, my social media. The list goes on. With IPVanish, it's an app that you download and it allows me to safely browse the internet, and I'm fully encrypted, so I'm always protected from hackers and I have unrestricted access to everything on the web. Listen, if you travel international, sometimes certain countries you can't access certain websites. With IPVanish, that is a thing of the past. So listen, everybody, check this out. You will not be disappointed. Click the link in the episode description below, or just go to ipvanish.com/Bisping. After all, you don't want people hacking into your social media, and you do not want people hacking into your financial information. Happens all the time. ipvanish.com/Bisping. Okay, let's get into it. All right, so listen, if you know the situation, Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley a while ago. They said that they would do a rematch if Tyron got the I Love Jake Paul tattoo. Tyron got the I Love Jake Paul tattoo, but Jake Paul said, I love you too, but we're not going to fight. Basically said, Tyron, go fuck yourself, okay? Since then, Tyron's been talking a bit of shit. Tyron has been trying to get that rematch, understandably so. From what I hear, Tyron Woodley made around $8 million for that fight against Jake Paul. So, of course, he wants to do it again. But still, they went with Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury, I thought, was a good matchup for Jake Paul because he's a boxer. He's a guy that's starting off. He was 7-0 as a boxer. Makes sense for Jake Paul to be fighting somebody like that. Plus, with the Fury name, right, he's Tyson Fury's half brother, so there's that whole connection there. Makes it interesting. Of course, they talk a lot of shit. They had that press conference recently where John Fury, Tommy's dad, said they're going to bend his bird over and do it like a dog and stuff like that. So you know, it was getting kind of interesting, but unfortunately, Tommy Fury's come out this week. Well, today, there's a statement from Tommy Fury that says, I am absolutely heartbroken that I have been forced to withdraw from my fight with Jake Paul due to a bacterial chest infection and a broken rib. The beginning of my camp was going incredibly, and I never expected anything to come in my way from a victory on December 18th. I can't express how disappointed I am and really do hope we can get this fight rescheduled in the new year. I want this fight to still happen more than anything. So, what do we think? What do we say? Because I tell you what, right now, as I say, he's fumbled the bag. Logan Paul has come out and called him a little bitch. Logan Paul has said, we knew he was always going to do this. We knew he was going to pull out. Logan Paul says he was going to pull out. Not bad, Bisping. But still, that's what people always say. When you're fighting somebody and they pull out, you always say that as a way of shit talking, a way of calling them a coward, you know, kind of calling them a pussy. Let's be honest. Jake Paul said that he wasn't promoting the fight on social media, that he wasn't doing his end of the bargain. Logan called him a bitch. And now Jake says, listen, that's it. I'm never being associated with that guy ever again. I am not going to fight him at all. Logan says he's faking the injury and he's pulling out for no good. So it doesn't look good for Tommy Fury. Let's be honest, it's not a good look. And of course, a lot of people are casting doubt on his reasons. A lot of people saying that he's pulling out for the sake of pulling out because he's scared, because of the pressure, because of what his dad said maybe, throwing him out of the family. Jake Paul also came out and said that entire family are shady. He did an interview with TMZ. He said, listen, that whole family, I don't like the way they operate. They're shady. Just be careful, Jake Paul. If you're ever in Morecambe, England, or in the streets of Manchester, be careful that one of the extended Fury family members don't get hold of you, because they won't be playing by boxing rules, and that's a fact, buddy. But it's very simple. If you're Tommy Fury and you've got a broken rib and you had a chest infection, it's easy to prove that you were injured, because if you're saying you've got a broken rib, you had an x-ray. To know that it's broken, you went for an x-ray. If you have any kind of rib injury but it doesn't feel too bad, you still go for an x-ray. I know that. I've been there myself many times. So all Tommy has to do is to remain any kind of dignity and to show the world that he's not lying, that he's not a pussy, that he's not a coward, that he's not scared of Jake Paul. All he's got to do is show the x-rays. It's as simple as that. I don't know why Jake didn't say that. Don't know why Logan didn't say that. And I don't know why Tommy already isn't doing that, because, of course, Jake Paul talks a tremendous amounts of shit. He's always putting pressure on people. He's always making these little bets. He's always trying to make a mockery out of whoever it is that he's fighting. So you know with Jake Paul, he's going to pull these kind of moves. So I would have got ahead of that. I would have said, hey, look, here is my x-ray. You can see the rib is broken. And sure, if you've got a broken rib, there's no way you're going to fight. Jake Paul said, listen, there's a possibility that we could have moved it back to January. We could have moved it to February. We could have given him time. But he said, you know what? He might have just done it again. He might have pulled out once again. So what have they done? They've gone back to the well. And by that well, I mean Tyron Woodley. Tyron, as we said, he did fulfill his end of the bargain, if you will. He did get that tattoo on his finger. And he's been wanting that rematch. And he's been talking a lot of shit about Jake Paul, saying that he was scared and all the rest of it. I'll be honest, I had Jake Paul winning that first fight. I was there, I covered it for BT Sport, I was there in the audience. I thought Jake won it. The reason Tyron didn't win that fight is because, well, Tyron looked dangerous. When he let the hands go, he looked dangerous. We've talked about this at length when it first happened. But it was just like every Tyron Woodley fight, there wasn't enough output. When he let the hands go, he looked dangerous, okay? But he didn't let them go enough. There was that one time he knocked him into the ropes. He didn't knock him down. He knocked him into the ropes. And, you know, Tyron was very proud of that moment. But it was one moment over an 8-round fight. Before that, Jake was just working away. He was working away. He was landing shots and all the rest of it. Now, partly I think that fight never happened. The rematch never happened. And again, no disrespect to either man. I don't think the thirst was there for it. It wasn't the most spectacular fight you've ever seen. It was a pedestrian performance from both men. You know, it was lackluster. Some might even say boring. You know, it wasn't the best fight. However, they're going to rematch. Now, Jake Paul is throwing a little spice in the mix. He has offered Tyron Woodley an extra $500,000, $500,000, if he can knock out Jake Paul, right? So, to the buying public, it's like, ooh, but this has got interesting now. Tyron has the power, and Jake has offered him an extra $500,000 if he can knock him out. Never mind a little bonus, $500,000. I mean, we're talking real money. So if you're the buying public, you're like, hold on a minute. Tyron does have the potential. Tyron does have the power. And Tyron almost did it on the first time. So therefore, we might see a more exciting fight this time. So it's actually a really smart thing for Jake Paul to do, because what he's doing is bullshitting to the public. I'm not trying to hurt their pay-per-view. I'll probably watch it, let's be honest. But Tyron Woodley isn't going to change that, because the thing is, Tyron's taking this fight on less than 2 weeks' notice, right? Now, I follow Tyron Woodley on Instagram, on social media. He's a friend of mine, and I hope he does great in this fight. And he has been training. He's been staying in shape. I've seen him hitting the mitts and stuff, and still talking about Jake Paul a little bit, angling for that rematch. But there's a difference between training for a fight properly. There's a difference between getting out of bed and pushing yourself to the limit and absolutely killing yourself in training, to what there is of just ticking over, keeping the engine running, just tapping away with your skills. You know, when you're doing that, when you're just trying to stay in shape and work on your boxing skills and things, you ain't running fucking hill sprints every week. You ain't pushing yourself to the limit. You ain't sparring so hard that you collapse on the floor through sheer exhaustion, okay? You're not doing those hours. You're not. You're just not. And that is how you get in fight shape, okay? So I fear in this fight, Tyron Woodley, even with the extra incentive, the extra $500,000 on top of the few $1 million that he's going to make, I don't think we're going to see much different. On the flip side, Jake Paul has been pushing it. He's getting better as a boxer. He's training down in Costa Rica. He's doing whatever he can to improve. He was taking on Tommy Fury. He has these deluded ideas of one day fighting a Canelo or somebody like that. Maybe he does. And if he does, God bless, good for him. Point I'm making is, though, he has been working towards a fight on December 18th. So I think Jake Paul's going to be in better shape. Mentally coming into this one, he knows that he was... He knows he can hang with Tyron. He knows that he beat him the first time, so why can't he beat him a second? And he knows that he has power, so he knows he's got to be careful of that. But confidence comes from being in shape. Confidence comes from knows you have put the work in. So Jake has put the work in. I respect Tyron for stepping up short notice, but has he been putting the work in? I just don't know. So therefore, because of that, I hate to say this, but I think we're going to see Jake Paul win the rematch. Jake Paul win the rematch. I hope Tyron makes a ton of money, but I don't think anything's going to change. Jake, he's probably going to beat Tyron Woodley, And then he's probably going to fight Tommy Fury, let's be honest. I don't think he's going on TMZ and talking all that shit for that fight not to happen. There's already interest. He had that press conference. It was kind of weird. The sound connection was terrible. Jake Paul was in a fucking floating in a flamingo with shades on and a hat. Looked like a bit of a bell end. Tommy Fury was there with his dad and Tyson. They did most of the talking. Tommy Fury, get well. Hope the rib heals up. Hope the chest infection is nothing too serious. And Tyron Woodley, enjoy these next 2 weeks. Of course, you would say 2 weeks, but it's not a full 2 weeks, is it? There's got 1 week of training. The next week is fight week. He will do some training on fight week, but realistically, that's about promoting the fight. That's about doing the press conferences, about making weight as well. So there's that whole aspect to it. Still, there we go. Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley 2. It is motherfucking happening. A week on Saturday. I'll be watching. Who am I going to lie to? Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. All the best.